At Star Wars Celebration Chicago in April of 2019, a new multimedia project from Lucasfilm Publishing was announced, Project Luminous. We didn't get the full details of what that would entail until February 24th of 2020, though, when it was announced that this new project would be called The High Republic, and it would feature 5 different authors writing books and comics for adult, young adult, and children's audiences. Phase 1 of The High Republic was supposed to come out in August 2020 to coincide with Star Wars Celebration Anaheim, but due to COVID-19 shenanigans, the release of Phase 1 was pushed back until January of 2021. Charles Soule, the author of Light of the Jedi, is no stranger to the Star Wars universe, but he's previously only written comics. Light of the Jedi made it to #1 on the New York Times bestseller list for the week of January 24th, 2021, and as of this review has spent 3 weeks, maybe more, on the New York Times bestseller list. So if you have no idea what the High Republic series is about or what this book is about, basically it is set 200 years before the Phantom Menace at the very height of the Republic's power and features the Jedi Knights facing a new, unknown, deadly threat. First, the good. I thought that the first third of this book was very tightly constructed. The great disaster was such a unique scenario to be happening in the Star Wars galaxy that I found that the pages really flew past for me in this part. There are a lot of characters that we are introduced to, which sort of falls into the bad section. But I have to say that I really liked Bel Zettifar. He's a Jedi Padawan. He had a very likable personality, and I felt like the trials he faced and the insights he came to, while perhaps not being completely applicable to our world since we don't have magical force abilities here, it still made him very relatable to read about. I liked what I'll call the continuity nods, filling in some of the gaps of our knowledge of the Star Wars universe thus far. Anyone who's seen The Force Awakens remembers the character of Lor San Tekka, an explorer, and in this book we sort of get the backstory behind the San Tekka family. We also got some developments which perhaps will tie in more greatly with the Thrawn era books. In particular, I'm thinking about the ability of Force-sensitive people to navigate hyperspace routes. And finally, I liked the way that different Jedi view the Force and approach the Force. I thought it was something that's rarely dealt with, and it was interesting. Avar Kriss views the Force as a psalm, which reminded me a little bit of the music of the Ainur from the Silmarillion. But then on the other hand, her friend Elzar Mann views the Force as a deep, bottomless sea. But while there were things I really liked about Light of the Jedi, there were also things that I felt either meh or nope about. This is the first book in a series, and not just any series, a series that has books for adults, children, teens, comics books for those age groups as well. So there are a lot of characters introduced, especially Jedi characters, to the point that there's no clear protagonist for this book. We spend so much time with so many different Jedi that they all started to blur together to me. And in some pivotal scenes where we lose Jedi or bad things happen to Jedi, I was left going, wait, who's that again? Which lessened the impact of what was happening. I also found that some of the names just were a little too Earth-like for my liking. I know that this is Star Wars where our heroes are named Luke and Leia and Han, but their last names sound sci-fi, so my brain accepts that. But in this book, we just had characters named Erica and Porter. And while I thought that the first third of the book was really fast-paced, really interesting to read, the rest of the book not so much. There's a lot happening here, the emergences, they're trying to predict where the emergences are happening, not to mention all the political maneuvering going on with the Nihils, that I just found the latter half was not as tightly composed as the beginning was, and it didn't lose my interest. But for other people, especially newcomers to the Star Wars universe, I could see how that might turn people away. Finally, the Nihil just didn't feel like a huge threat to me at this point in the story. More than anything else, they seemed like space bikers. That's just not scary. They seem to have leveled up by the end. Perhaps now they will be space Vikings. And maybe that will take off in later books, but for this one, I was left sort of wondering why everyone was so scared of them when they're just like a galactic biker gang. So, in short, if you're interested in checking out Light of the Jedi, I'd say go ahead, do it. But if you're new, especially to Star Wars books, there's a lot of characters here. There's a lot of plot that happens. And while I'm sure that it's all going to be important for future books, it just felt at times like a lot to wade through. Also, if you've looked at any of the other High Republic books, you may have noticed that there's a children's book called The Great Jedi Rescue by Cavan Scott. This is basically just a kid-friendly overview of the Great Disaster, which was about the first third of the book. However, it does feature 2 pages of stickers. Don't feel you have to read that one to know what's happening because everything is covered here.